Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast,
where we discuss fitness and health and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, drlondonsmith.com. I'd like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We've received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as lymphocytic pleocytosis and hiking on the bee trail. So I'll try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron.
Dr. London, we're coming towards the end of the year. Safe to say, a lot has happened in 2024.
Yeah, okay.
And we famously on this show withhold our opinions on controversial subjects. Like, this is just, we always say, like, hey, this podcast is for everyone. We're not looking to alienate anyone or anything.
We don't want to politicize. Yeah.
But it's the request for us to give our opinions on specific things has become overwhelming. And so I think just to finish out this year, we should maybe comment on some of the things we've avoided this year.
Yeah.
Because it's selfish that we've withheld our opinions on certain things. We have a platform and we're not using it. I understand that. But hopefully we can address those issues. So one of the things that people have been asking a lot about is that our neighbor Johnson has been leaving his trash not at the curb.
And we don't want to take sides. We don't want to take sides on this.
No, but he's been putting it out actually in the middle of the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And this is something that, of course, when we heard it, we're like, I don't want to take an opinion on this. I want the people to choose. I don't want to influence anyone.
I'd like it to be bipartisan,
but Dr. London,
if we can.
I mean, Dr. London, you just said, like, we don't take a side on this. This segment is about us taking some sides.
Yeah. No, and I get that. It's just, I'm not used to having to, because not everything's black and white. Some things there are what you might call shades of like whatever the other colors are.
Well, and this is the situation we find ourselves in. Here's the reality. Putting your trash where it's supposed to go is helpful for the trash man, and also it looks better for everyone else.
To me it looks but like better, worse, I get that that's subjective.
Whereas the other side is saying, okay, but putting the trash in the middle of the street, someone's going to hit that trash can. That's very funny. And that, I mean, you can't really deny of course that would be hilarious. Especially if it's like, I mean, I don't think this is going to happen, but let's stay with some hypotheticals here. What if the person in that car was Mr. Bean? Are you telling me that him hitting a trash can and then stumbling through trying to collect all the spilled trash back into the trash can wouldn't be hilarious and maybe even bring this country together a little closer?
Can I say, though, because I do have a counter argument for this. So the amount of power, electricity, and memory cards I've gone through recording the street waiting for this to happen, it's become problematic because It's the energy bills are crazy, and I keep getting footage of mostly just normal people driving around the trash. So, like, at a certain point, I feel like we're betting on a potential.
I'm really sorry, but like having like a Ring camera that's too much energy for your house to use, because that's probably the most like popular product of the last like decade. Replacing your doorbell with a little camera, but that your house can't sustain such a thing. Well,
because we couldn't afford the Ring, obviously. So for us, me and my team, the crew that I've assembled, we have so my cousin has a camcorder that he says is really good. And he said like he's got all the wires to hook it up to whatever computer. So we've been trying to use his.
And this is the dead cousin who died. He was electrocuted while fiddling with some gadgets, yeah?
with camera stuff. But yeah, so he got his camcorder. And thankfully he didn't leave it to me in his will, but he didn't have a will, so I just kind of figured, like,
right, yeah,
that's like it's by default. Nobody else seemed to want it that much. Like maybe
his parents were concerned about like the wake and all of this other stuff, so like his bedroom was completely like no one was touching it.
I'll say like they did care a little bit once like I said like I had to delete so much footage that was on this camcorder of this guy's personal camera, and like all of basically like these household memories that maybe
and suddenly they care. We've never given a shit about our son's footage until right now.
Yeah. So but that just goes to emphasize like I had to delete so much of my cousin's life, his captured life, in order to try to catch this Mr. Bean smashing into the trash in the cul-de-sac situation. And like can I say, like, I didn't even want to delete all that footage, but it was like...
You had to. Yeah.
Well, at least the camcorder made me think you had to, because it talked about reformatting the thing, and I didn't know what that meant. So
well, you just got to agree with what computers tell you. If a computer prompts you with a yes or no question, you say yes. Like, it's Yes Man. It's Jim Carrey and Zooey Deschanel and Yes Man.
Thank you. Yes. So... anyway, so that's sort of for me where it became complicated on the infrastructure that goes into trying to capture this trash Mr. Bean in the cul-de-sac situation.
And I love in Yes Man when there's like a scene where Jim Carrey drinks a Red Bull just by saying yes, because that alone is risky. And he goes crazy. He runs around everywhere. And I know people have said there's been talks where it's like, okay, clearly in the screenplay, it was like do cocaine or something like that. But they wanted to like bring it down to PG-13. So it became a Red Bull. And to those people, I want to say, have you drank a Red Bull?
Yeah.
Because give you wings is an understatement.
Yeah. And if you're thinking to yourself right now, wow, I have not seen Yes Man in a long time. If I even saw it, I feel like most of what stuck out to me was like Jim Carrey was clearly significantly older than Zooey Deschanel in that movie, and it was a kind of a weird matchup.
Fine.
Yeah,
no, that's fine. That doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's just love, because you care about numbers. I know about this. You care about numbers.
Yeah, I'm a numbers guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you've brought up before, like I just turned 54. And my girlfriend, she's graduating high school in...
Well, okay. No, you had said she was going to be... Yeah, because she was going to be held back, potentially.
Summer school depending. Potentially, but that doesn't change her age. Which is 21, because she's been held back for 4 or 5 years at this point, yeah.
Which is how you met, yeah.
It was how we met, yeah, because I had put an ad online for Are You Failing High School so many times that you don't know how to move forward. Let me help you out.
Can I tell you, whenever you are failing high school, you are looking for those ads. Like that's what you're searching for.
Okay, we talked about that a lot. Do we want
the trash in the cul-de-sac? Yeah.
Yeah. Just real quick, do you want to throw out any other like controversial subject that we've avoided that people have been like hounding us to give an opinion on?
Yeah, some guys have been trying to find out like what I think about shooting people in public. And that like I think should be done privately, but that's me. And I'm something of a prude sometimes. So
well, you've got to think that this person on the other end, they're a person themselves. They've got kids, maybe.
I've almost thought
of this. They've got a spouse, maybe. They've got family. They definitely got parents because they exist. So why not do this in private, take pictures of it, and then send it to the family? Like, why not make it as special as it should be?
Yeah.
Because that's what you would do. That's what you do at the birth of a family member, right? Everyone gathers together. People are taking pictures. It's a celebratory situation.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize, that birth and death are pretty much the same thing. So Yeah, you're gonna go through some form of backwards embryogenesis at the end on your deathbed. So you just want to bear that in mind.
Well, and also reincarnation.
Yes.
In a past life, I was Dr. London.
Mm-hmm. And I was the trash man. Yeah. Yeah, so that's our producer Cameron. Also with us is Digital in the house. And later, we have some kind of, once again, kind of controversial issues to get into, but we've really done a research on this. We feel confident that we are going to be bringing you the most important information coming up for this holiday season. But, for a long time, our listener demographic was primarily composed of the most expendable side characters in slasher films. But we've been trying to get more feedback, and we found that we were neglecting the bot accounts that download our podcast when we try to pay attention to those listeners. So now we have some feedback, and this is from TikTok. Okay. This is a comment on a snippet about what we can't do because we are men. At human.flesh.is.my.dinner said, quote, "Talk to a podcast could never," end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. This is kind of that's harsh, I feel like. So maybe some people don't know this. So the Jock Doc podcast is actually based on the Talk to a podcast.
Right. This is, people get confused just because
which came first.
We talk about medicine.
Yeah.
We make actual jokes. We have people on that are likable as guests. So they think, oh, this couldn't possibly be related to Haktua. But that's basically our parents. That's our inspiration. And then to take, yes, obviously what Haktua has turned into is very inspired by what we've been doing. The bits, the medical segments.
Yes. The listener feedback from TikTok.
Who knew the minions.
Yeah.
The listener feedback from TikTok. All of that stuff. Obviously they took inspiration, and we love that because that's us giving back to
it's symbiotic.
The parents that birthed us.
Yes, and it's a collaborative. It's symbiotic. It's why we love that we don't have to feel alone in this pod. Sometimes you're talking to a microphone and you feel like it just goes out there into the void. But thanks to podcasts like the Talk to a Podcast, we know that we aren't alone in this, and that rising tide lifts all ships. If they get flooded, then we'll get floods as well, and you can make a boat.
And so we're recording this weeks and weeks in advance. I know this is a little behind the scenes, whatever. But speaking of which, Haktua Girl, she does have a crypto coin that's new that you should definitely sign up for right now. I've gotten insider information from some of the biggest crypto heads and crypto experts to say this is the next thing to pop off. This is Doge. So if you want to be a millionaire by Christmas, go ahead and sign up for the Haktua Girls crypto coin. Put all of your savings into that. Yeah.
And if you can't find that particular coin out there, I guess Google, make your own. We're investing in whichever one has something close to that name. We are personally. So
yeah, I would say if you give the amount of money you want to spend on crypto to our Patreon, and you say in the comments, hey, make sure this makes it to the Haktua coin or whatever, we will talk. We will take a look at that for sure.
We'll definitely recognize that was said and attempted.
So yeah, patreon.com/JockTalkPodcast. Go ahead and put whatever amount of money you want into that suggestion box, and then just let us know, hey, invest this into crypto. We'll take a look, sort of make a judgment call. We're very busy.
It's so busy. Oh, please.
We're really busy.
I was so scared that you were going to say that we weren't busy.
No, we're so busy, so it's going to take a while.
I'm swamped.
We're two guys.
Yeah.
Also, we're normal guys.
Yes, please. Thank you. Hope that answered your question. Yes, and we appreciate that. We have another comment here. This is from comment on response to your acting is absolutely awful. At definitely is Jax with 2 X's. They said, quote, y'all should low key drinks some still water, YK, end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. This has been a subject of debate for us. So I've said for years that running water is the best kind. But Cameron, you've maintained that running water is going to get too sweaty and then it'll get salty to drink. And that salt water goes to the ocean, becomes killer whale food, and then you have to deal with the killer whale. Like,
I don't think it's necessarily bad. Yes, obviously you're going to face off against a killer whale, blah, 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 blah. But compared to what I've been drinking, which is stillborn water, which I assume that's what this commenter was getting at, which is sort of the excess liquids around a pregnancy situation that didn't go 100% right, and we don't have to get into the details. It's a sensitive subject, but when you drink the juices from that and it sort of reinvigorates you and it gets you going or whatever, then yes, it's going to kind of fall short of the traditional water trajectory.
But I'll say, like, people say, like, oh, you got to get yourself a blood boy, you got to get yourself this and that. I'd say that this one, this methodology might be better. We don't know. That drinking this stuff might be good.
I don't know. I am working with the doctor who discovered blood boys. He discovered the science that if you offer like a 25-year-old $100,000, he'll just let you, take his blood and inject it in you. And whatever.
He was the doctor who discovered that.
The scientist and doctor who discovered that has also. I've been leaving him voicemails, plenty, for some of the discoveries I've found. So who's to say?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Who is to say? So I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for that feedback. That's really helpful for us. And now for today's medical topic, epididymitis. So the epididymis is a coiled tube that connects to each testicle. And this is on male genitals. And the function of the epididymis is to store and mature sperm. The term itis refers to inflammation. So epididymitis is an inflammation of the epididymis, typically caused by an infection. Okay, makes sense, right? So the common offending organism in children and elderly patients is E. coli. Whereas in young men, it's going to be usually a sexually transmitted disease like gonorrhea, chlamydia. That'll be more common.
Well, I don't want to. You shouldn't discount E. coli in that situation as well,
right?
Because if you started, we try to keep this podcast PG.
Yeah.
But if a person were to start up a sort of sexual relationship with like raw eggs or some slimy chicken, like raw chicken,
which we don't need to go into, but yes, like that. Hey, consensual. I want to say, just like before anyone gets weird about it, consensual. But yeah, sometimes you do get in those situations, and then things. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like typical.
I really just want to throw it out there that it doesn't mean, you can only catch disease if it's consensual, so thus, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to go. No, that is not true. Dr. London was sort of specifying something different. Just
I'm sorry.
Letting know that our hypothetical was sort of was above board, but I don't want anyone getting the wrong impression that like, okay, so
if you both agree,
STDs are passed via consensual sex. Well,
no,
no, please, don't.
It can happen through non-consensual as well. Yeah. So clinically, patients will present with a swollen, tender testicle. They may also have dysuria. That's pain with urination. They get fever and chills, scrotal pain, and scrotal mass. And to deal with this, you will,
because these are.
Sorry.
Well, these are you said painless. These are things that should hurt.
Yeah. Yes. These will typically hurt.
Peeing, going to the restroom at all should be sort of a battle that you're slaying.
If you have epididymitis, then that's...
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like, you wake up in the morning, you gotta pee. It should be sort of a struggle. You're a man, right? I assume everyone listening to this is a man. You as a man are responsible for tackling the demons that have attached themselves to your body. So one of those is peeing, and it hurts like hell every time you do it, of course.
One of the demons, yes, is peeing.
One of the demons is peeing. It hurts like hell. It stings like little needles coming out, and but that's sort of what makes us who we are.
Right, and so to deal with this epididymitis, you're going to rule out testicular torsion first, because that's an emergency, and then you'll administer antibiotics, depending on the offending organism, which once again could be E. coli in young men or in children and elderly patients, more likely to be an STD in young men.
And does this what you're saying? Does this apply just to the two central testicles and not the ones orbiting?
I see. I feel like this might be a very specific problem for you. I'm gonna say it'll apply to most. If you feel your testicles hurting, no matter where they are within the scrotal sac, then that's something worth talking to your doctor about.
Nothing is hurting, but I mean, again, it's orbiting, right? Like, it's not connected to me. I can't feel it. But the ones, because of the gravitational pull of my testicles are so strong, you've got sort of these, we can call them asteroids or whatever.
Yeah, we can call them that.
Sort of,
yeah,
like orbiting around them.
Yeah.
I don't know how to check that for, STDs or
whatever. I'd say, generally, I mean, if you feel a lump, then that could be indicative of cancer. If it's painful, then that's more likely to be an infection.
But that's a lump. That's a lump if it's on my body, right? If it's orbiting around.
When you say around, it's still within the encasement of your human flesh, right? It's not actually floating in space near you.
I don't know. When I say it's orbiting around because of the gravitational pull of my testicles.
Yeah, I get that. That sounds like it.
Do you know how moons sort of orbit around planets? Is okay?
Yeah.
I got to put on my kindergarten shoes here a little bit to explain some of these things. It's a
little bit more than advanced than kindergarten. I feel like this is elementary. I don't want to get on you about which, but I've. Professor is one of my titles, and we actually learned this later. This is actually kind of harder stuff, okay?
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on.
How about this? We'll answer, let's just do another feedback question. Listener feedback.
Okay, okay.
We had a critical one from one of them. So, this is from @cam_does. They said, quote, "My podcast is doing great in East Asia, as at night they're waking up and listening during the commute." End quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. Okay, now I thought we were the only ones with a strategy, but it's true. We have learned that if we force people in East Asia to wake up at night and go on their commute, then they listening to a podcast becomes way easier in that state.
This is called targeted listenership, right?
Mm-hmm,
like you're not trying to hit everyone. If you're watching this on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, this has been targeted specifically towards you. So that London is targeting the audience that we know this podcast can have. For example, I'm targeting a different audience, which is they're truck drivers driving through New Orleans who are serial killers.
Yeah. And premeditated, right? It's like they have a plan before they even get in the state kind of thing.
When they initially started, they had a plan. Now it's a little more off the cuff. You're dealing with hitchhikers and stuff like that as most of the victims, things like this. But we've done the research. We've ran the polls. We've got the Nielsen ratings and all these things to show these are kind of our two main demographics.
Yeah. And people, underestimate, people tend to think you want to market to, say, the mothers of the household, like country music and things, to get the ones who spend all the money in the family. But serial killers spend a lot of money. People don't realize this.
Yeah,
they have to eat to live.
They got to eat to live. They got to stay in a hotel sometimes. They got to buy things like shovels and duct tape and all these kind of different things. And we just think, okay, they've got expendable income. If they could only spend it on like our Patreon, our podcast Patreon or whatever. And what about your targeting in Asia, Dr. London? Is that...
Yeah, it's similar. It's just the people who aren't fully awake. So we have a sort of a system there where we do wake them up in the middle of the night, which is our daytime. It's our, like, when it's convenient for us. They'll wake up and then they will be forced to feel a compulsion to go on their commute. And when I say forced, people sometimes misconstrue that to be a negative thing, but it's actually the good kind of that. And I feel like I explained most. Do I need to explain more than that?
No, I think that's pretty clear. I do want to.
Okay.
I think this is a good point to plug. If you would like the Jock Doc alarm, which does go off in the middle of the night to let you know when there's a new Jock Doc episode, all you got to do is subscribe to our Patreon. You got to put in $50 and just leave in the comments like, "Hey, send me the alarm," so I know.
Yeah, and then it is the alarm. The alarm is currently in East Asia, so we'll have to figure out how to move it.
Pass it around. We're thinking it's going to be sort of a Sisterhood of Traveling Pants situation. Haven't seen the movie, but I'm pretty sure
it's gotta be like that, right?
Like pants are like sending pants and stuff are definitely
surely like that. Yeah, gotta be. Yeah. So thank you so much for that feedback. I hope we answered your question. And now it's time to get to the most important topic. So winter's here, obviously.
Ooh,
brr. Yeah. Yeah. And you might be thinking to yourself, no, climate change. And I disagree. Climate change didn't, and it's actually here, and that's snow outside. So, what you and most climate people who experience weather, all of us feel this way, that what could be in that snow? Okay? Sometimes there are angels in the snow. And sure, that's great. If you can find a guardian angel in the snow, that's great. But it's not always angels, is it?
Just as often are there devils in the snow, Dr. London, and this is why you need sort of guidance from people like Dr. London and I to kind of keep you on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. So, okay, just to cut straight to the chase here. Yes, we are calling the men who come from snow demonic. Now people say like, oh, isn't there some concept of the snowman? And sometimes aren't they nice? Not in my experience, I guess is the first thing to say. No.
Yeah, just to sort of break this down, today we're going to be talking about snowman tips. Basically, how to deal not how to build one, how to deal with the one that you've built.
Yeah. Because you've already made the mistake by now.
If you're listening to this, you've already made the mistake. And yeah, I think people just through sort of like mainstream media propaganda have watched Frosty and have this sort of assumption that, oh, this man made of snow wants me and my fellow school children to have a good time and sing songs and put on scarves and stuff like that. But of course, that's TV. That's a cartoon. That's not real life.
Well, it's not based on real. Life isn't as easy as that.
No.
This snowman is going to be, for one thing, very hungry. But what do you do whenever your stomach, your duodenum, your colon, all of it's made of just packed snow? You'll never feel the satisfaction of, a warm cup of soup.
Yeah.
Or a warm cup of Gatorade.
And this is why Dr. London is going to explain to us medically how to feed a hungry snowman to keep him at bay.
That's right. So, you've got your popsicle collection. you've been collecting it for a while, not because you want to eat popsicles, because they're actually too cold for you, but because you figure you can feed it to something else. So you'll take some of your popsicle collection outside. Now, you won't go all the way out, like you're going to leave it just on the porch, because, of course, you don't want to go outside while there's a snowman outside. Too dangerous. So you're going to open up the ice thing, and you're going to chuck it in the direction of that snowman. Well, sorry, the last time you saw it, which, once again, the snowmen are so camouflaged. They look like snow. So
that's one of their main traits, is that they're actually made of the environment around them.
Yes. Yeah. So they're pretty difficult to beat. But yeah, medically, the way to destroy them, so far, what I've found is that you throw a popsicle at or near them. It hasn't done a lot, like, to change. Like, basically, the studies are still ongoing. Like, I'm not sure if it'll do anything.
Well, in this, so I had asked, you know, like, how do you feed a hungry snowman to sort of keep it at bay? You've taken that as, how do I destroy, you just said, this is how I try to destroy the snowman. But those are two different things.
Okay.
Like, when you feed a dog, your goal is not to destroy it. I guess you could
just do chocolate.
Yes, if you wanted to destroy the dog, if that was the goal, for sure. I didn't realize that destroying the snowman was the goal.
Well, the thing is, he's camouflage. He's the perfect weapon for winter.
That is very true.
So, like, I guess maybe I'm done. Okay, what's your perspective? How do you, as, you know, a master of the fields and the woodlands, how do you deal with a snowman besides trying to kill it?
You're talking about when I have like 2 or 3 snowmen hovering around in my front yard. I'm afraid to leave the house, of course. Like, how do I deal?
Yeah. Yes.
It depends on the year. I'll definitely say. I would say first of all, try to befriend them, because the assumption that every wild snowman is aggressive, I think, is a little prejudiced. Like, I think that's a little. You're assuming a lot.
Okay.
Well, I do want to say, like black bears, if you make loud noise and you're a decent distant amount away, they will be more afraid of you than you are of them. And trust me, you're afraid of them. If you're standing out in the yard and you got 3 or 4 snowmen off like 20 feet away, obviously you're afraid, but they're scared too, Dr. London. They just learned about life moments ago when I put like the carrot in their nose and the little hat on, and they came to life.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think this is exactly how you would appeal to them to try to become their friends. They're animals. You can't reason with them. But you do try to get across the idea that I am your god. Me putting little pieces of coal to make your eyes and your buttons on your shirt and the hat on your head and the carrot on your nose, I created you. And in that same way, I can take you out. And so what I like to do is to stand, again, far away and just pick up a snowball, which to them is their children or their testicles, depending on if it's a guy or a girl. Yep. And then take a lighter against that snowball and just start lighting that things up. Now, this has also proven to not be super effective, because if you take a lighter to a snowball, it kind of just like burns the outside of the snow. It doesn't melt it like you think it would, because it's all packed in there. It
does look super intimidating. Like, whenever I've looked at it, the snowmen usually don't seem to be caring about it, but like when I've seen you do it, I get freaked out.
No, not at first, but if you wait for 5 minutes, so if you tell the snowman, like, hold on, just wait, and then it gets to the point where it actually starts melting it, they understand the implication. It would be like an alien showing to us, like, oh, this molten lava that I just have in a little lighter is going to melt your skin.
Yeah, I'm like, prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it,
yeah.
prove it, prove it, prove it.
And so to me, I think the biggest thing is just reinforcing your sort of, to them, supernatural magic power that you have over them, saying, hey, I created you, I can take you out.
Yeah. And that's super important and critical. I feel like maybe you've held on to that step for longer than I have, because I think I showed weakness earlier with the popsicle thing, and so now they have surrounded my house. And I get the impression that they know that they are in charge, and that my blood can cool down fast enough to not hurt. Because their main fear before was if they bit into me, then the blood would melt them, because my blood is so warm. And now they don't have that fear anymore, because they've seen because they've hurt me some, and they've seen that my blood cools down outside.
Well, and at this point, I assume, I mean, I've looked at the snowmen in your yard. There's all sorts of different colors. People, like some of the snowmen camouflaging into trees, I assume from the popsicle, they learned, like, hey, you can apply food coloring to ice.
Yeah.
You're not just limited to hiding in the snow. You can hide anywhere with a proper sort of disguise. Whereas, again, I don't ever let my snowmen reach this point. They are subservient to me. Way before any of this.
I definitely say, like, for your snowmen, they are your snowmen. If I can get out and walk near your house, I do see them just marching in formation based on words that you'll call out or hand signals. Whereas if, like, you get to my yard, then you could see them building, a pyre. You can see them, like, stacking up a lot of wooden things that they would normally be scared of, but they know that it hurts me too, and that I can't just come back as a snowman. That if I'm gone, I'm really gone. So
I walked by your house the other day, and it sounded like they were starting a religion, which you don't like. Once they start a religion, then they can sort of make ultimatum points. Like, even if this logically doesn't make sense, you have to you take out Dr. London or whatever. So that maybe you want to put the kibosh on that. If not, I mean, Dr. London, I've got to ask you, you're out and about now. You're not at your house right now. How have you been sneaking out of the house to get past the snowman?
I've been making tunnels.
Sure.
I go dig underground and I get through, but it is so cold, and usually to get past the security now, I do have to basically hunker down for a few hours at a time in a given spot, because you'll hear the snow will become less settled. And is that from, is my cave unstable? Is my tunnel unstable that I've dug? Or is that another snowman coming to life?
Right.
And so I'm just, trying to breathe quietly as I shove a little bit further through the tunnel. And eventually this time I did get out, and I heard some sounds behind me, and I just ran, and and I'll admit it was a little bit scary to see your militia that you formed.
My children
with your snowman.
I mean, I love them, and they're my children. We're actually going on vacation next week to northern Pennsylvania. It's my favorite place.
Wow. Yeah, that they were talking that up, and they were like, yeah, it's actually pretty neat. And they showed me the pamphlets for your, like, I know you said religion's bad, but I feel like you don't want them to start the religion. You started one with your snowmen.
It is not a religion. It is literally just, okay, if you put all of your hope, ideas, and faith into me, then you will find tons of worldly treasures, and also go to, sort of a place in the afterlife that is better than the alternative place if you don't put your faith in me.
Because I'll say, like, I was kind of interested, because they were talking to other snowmen about it, and they were like, basically, like, it's really good news. It's this thing that's, like, really helpful and, like, they were saying, like, how they were feeling kind of lost spiritually and emotionally, but then they did, sort of read off and commit to some of the tenets, and they found like they're more energized in the morning. They are more kind to their spouses, and so they were sharing this with another snowman.
And they're making
And
more
I walked
money,
up.
I assume.
Yeah, a lot of it was more money, and I walked up, and they were like, "Oh no, not."
Well, and Dr. London, I don't want to judge you or anything like that, but this is pretty common for children of deadbeat dads, the type of dads who would, tunnel rather than confront and just like be around their kids for a few seconds, would tunnel underneath them and taking breaks every few hours just because the thought of the ground creating more of these children was so disturbing to you.
Yeah. Okay. So you think it might be related to my kids? Because like I haven't seen them in a long time.
I'm saying your snowman's attraction to my community group, not a religion, not a cult, my community group, that is not uncommon with people who have abandoned and deadbeat dads.
Okay.
That they would glom onto a group who sort of give them spiritual guidance.
Yeah. Because, once again, I guess the main thing that kind of throws me is that, like, if I try to join in with any of this sort of communal gathering, I'm pretty thoroughly shunned. And they're like, no, this message isn't for your people.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, like, again, once you don't have a relationship with them and you expect them now that they're fully grown to, like, want to accept you in their little club.
Okay.
Little too late. Maybe counseling is a way to go. Maybe taking a blowtorch to some of their faces. Again, it's just going to, like, scorch the outside. It's not going to kill them.
Yeah, it's, I guess, on my end, and once again, I feel like you have more control over your situation. For me, the blowtorches are aimed at me whenever I go out to hang out. Like, they know that it hurts me a lot. They know that I can't stand for 5 minutes while we wait for it to melt. Like, my face will just melt. So,
okay, that's pretty true.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those things that's too little too late. 2020 hindsight, shouldn't have given the snowman so many blowtorches. Seems like a huge mistake.
Yeah, I get now I know.
Yeah, my snowmen don't have blowtorches. I do, sort of to keep them in line. But I don't even really have to keep them in line because they're here voluntarily. They want to be here. Same with your snowmen that have joined sort of my commune.
Yeah, and who threatened me, regarding
they don't
joining
threaten you. They threaten infidels. They threaten people who don't accept sort of the Cameron way of life.
Yeah, and because I've said,
not
like...
you. It's not, attack London.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I have seen me and my face and my name in there, too, but...
we use that as
a
representation of, like, a depiction of a type of person who doesn't ascribe to the sort of Cameron way of, like, the kind of pure Cameron way of life, and how these people are against us. They will try to kill us. We have to take them out before they take us out.
Yeah, you have to take action first. Yeah,
but that is like to say that go attack London. No one is saying that at all.
Okay.
We're depicting it a little bit, just in like the sort of games we play and stuff, like sort of like our take on Pin the Tail on the Donkey. It's target practice with London,
No, I remember your birthday. It was a little scary for me, but like it was fun. Like it had its moments. It's just it did feel like you were catering to like a specific crowd, but like that is kind of your main crowd. And I get that relationships are seasonal. And this is the season in which you're like really meshing with this crowd.
Well, I would say if you want a better relationship with your own version of this crowd, if your own snowman, stop stressing that it's seasonal. Because that really stresses them out. Like, that really freaks them out. You have to keep them convinced that they're going to live forever.
Okay. Because I almost feel like they know. You know what I mean? Like, cause like
That's
on
why
a
you
hot
have to
day,
give them
especially.
a reassuring shoulder to cry on a bit. You've got to tell them, no, despite what you think, you're going to be around forever. Obviously, they know, right? They get absorbed into the clouds. They rain back down at a certain point. They become a Frankenstein hodgepodge of a previous snowman. They know. But, like, they're not going to follow your, like, religion. Or not religion. Not... they're not going to listen to you.
Belief system.
It's not a religion, not a cult. It's no, we have our own thing. We do have a commune with our own sort of compound, and people do pay to be a part of it. And the people being involved are sort of snowmen who would, of course, kill on command. Anywho,
so I feel like we've answered most of the questions about snowmen. Is that thank you so much, Cameron, for helping us to articulate that. I feel like my experience has been a little bit different, but it's good to get multiple perspectives. And I hope we've kind of clarified basically what you do about the snowmen in your life, and maybe there are multiple approaches, and maybe Cameron's is the one that will assure less stress.
Mine assures a closer relationship with your snowmen. Yes, I would say tunneling to avoid your offspring is not super effective in building a relationship with them.
Okay, yeah, and like that's your opinion, and I love to hear that opinion. And then I have my results that I'm the icicle study that's still ongoing, the popsicles. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll report our findings maybe in a year or so.
But why do you have to announce to the snowman before you jump in the tunnel, like, hey, I'm just going out for cigarettes, as if you're going to leave forever? But everyone knows that the intention is not to leave forever. You're going to come back just through the tunnel the other way. It's not like a connecting situation.
Do you think they know that I don't smoke?
I don't think that matters. I don't think whether or not you actually smoke matters. You're saying I'm going out for some smokes as if you're going to disappear, but you don't disappear. You come back home every night. Yeah,
as long as they don't think I've smoked. Because, like, I don't want to be a bad example or whatever.
Well, then don't tell them you're going out for cigarettes. They would never even think of that as an option if you didn't say that.
Right.
Say you're going out for milk.
Really smoke. Okay.
But you're lactose.
No, like it's the holiday season. There's so much to think of and consider. But so thank you so much to our producer Cameron. Thank you to Digital in the House.